Hey everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Kings. My name is Matt and it's a pleasure to be back with you guys on the channel today. And in this video, I wanted to talk about a lot of the worries that I think some people have with Shiba Inu, and of course the fear that it may end up going down. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why I don't think that is the case. Now, of course, I could always be wrong, but I want to give you guys why I am still feeling bullish. So if you guys are new, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So if you guys have not seen what has been going on with SHIB here on the day, we are looking at around a 7% decrease from what we were going with earlier. And this is unfortunate because I think a lot of people were very sort of adamant about the idea of SHIB staying right around 70. And this was, my prediction for the past couple of days that SHIB would level off around 70. And unfortunately, there were a few actions that recently kind of triggered the downfall of this price. Mainly, of course, that being the action from the whale. The whale is the guy who put in $8,000 last year and now has billions of dollars in Shiba Inu. And what this whale did was tonight, of course, like I talked about in my last video, he moved into four different wallets. He moved his supply of SHIB, so $2.4 billion of SHIB. I mentioned that in my last video if you guys want to go check it out. But what it comes down to is the fact that that action led to a lot of FUD, and that is why the market cap now is at 36 billion, which is a little bit lower than where we were sitting. Volume is down, but the buy volume is just not enough to compete with the current sell volume that is going on. Now, there are a few scenarios I wanted to talk about with you guys when I look at this chart, but before I do, make sure to check out Webull, guys. Top of the link down below in the description. It is super easy to do. If you guys want to get started trading stocks and crypto, including SHIB, you guys can use my link and get started, and you guys will get 2 free stocks, potentially valued up to $2,300. So, top of the link down below in the description. When it comes down to it, guys, what we are working with here is a couple of scenarios, and I think a lot of people are seeing both of these scenarios possibly coming to light. So, the first scenario we have, of course, is the bearish one, which is the very scary one, and that is, of course, the rounded top here, which is obviously a problem, the rounded top here, which is obviously a problem, which could potentially be going down. But what about the bullish scenario? Well, there is a certain pattern out there that I believe is going to be very important in determining whether or not this Shiba Inu movement here ends up being bullish, and that is, of course, the triple bottom. And a lot of people were talking to me about this in my live stream tonight, and really, when it comes down to it, guys, it looks something like this. You see, you have a line here of resistance that is sort of the goal to break, and after hitting the bottom 3 times, that resistance will be broken. So when you look at something like this, what we are looking at is a scenario in which you have obviously one bottom here. You can kind of encompass both of these as one bottom if you wanted to, another bottom here, and another potential bottom headed down here. This is the scenario, and of course, after all of this, we set the sort of breakthrough price somewhere around here, somewhere around 77, let's say, and then obviously you have the potential after that for a breakout, which could head way past this price, leading to some very high numbers, and that is very possible for the near future. So that is the bullish scenario that I'm actually leaning towards. You see, unfortunately, even though we have so much community support, sometimes an action just like the whale selling that amount out of his wallet can trigger some, sort of anger and some agitation among the SHIB community. So that definitely will lead to some, some selling, maybe some aggressive buying at some cheap prices here, which is seeming to keep this afloat, but definitely will lead to some fear, which includes, of course, some selling. So the line that I am really relying on right now is this 60 line, which you guys can see, of course, has been a major player here for a while and doesn't appear as if it is to change. So we definitely do have to wonder, once it hits that 60 line, are we going to complete what we could call, again, this triple bottom with the 3 different parts of the bottom selected, and of course leading to a breakout? Does that happen, or does it fall through that line, leading to some very bad territory? That is the question, and personally, I do believe that the community support behind this is just so strong. It could really take any catalyst like Kraken or Robinhood or anything like that in order to save this. So that is definitely something worth considering. Now, when we take a look, of course, at another scenario here, this guy talked about this over on Twitter. This is a screenshot of a guy showing a bearish scenario in which we have kind of these crossing paths here, and of course, a fall down. But I personally do not believe that this is happening. And this guy says the decreasing volume indicates it's coiling up for a big move. That definitely does seem in agreement with me. It just depends which side people decide to take it. So again, definitely worth considering. I just do not see this being quite as likely. So that is definitely a scenario, again, I would be leery of because I just don't think the bottom will fall out like that. I think there are a lot of different places in which people would perceive this as being a very nice low to buy. Obviously, the 60 line here is a good spot to do that. Of course, we have the 55 line. I mean, there are a lot of different options out there that you could look at where people would consider that. Now, when we take a look, of course, at the indicators, you guys can see, of course, the relative strength index here over on the screen. We are a little bit near the oversold territory, which, is kind of upsetting when it comes down to it. We are really reaching where it would be considered oversold. So we definitely do not have an awful lot of room here before we head down into the 20s, which would lead to being oversold. But hey, that might be what it takes in order to kickstart a type of bullish movement. So it is very possible we can see this kind of checkmark thing going on here if the RSI heads below 30. Now, of course, if the RSI keeps going up and randomly heads up right now, of course, that may be the start of that bull movement or the final straw before the fall. So those are a couple of scenarios that at least come to my mind when I look at the relative strength index. When we check the Fibonacci retracement, which you guys can see here on the screen, we have a lot to unpack here. So it is going to, of course, take a look at the most recent movements. Obviously, the bottom here right at 66 with the top at around 72. And it looks as if, guys, it is really struggling just to get to that zero line just where this run started. So the 66 line right here, as you guys can see, is acting as the line of resistance. So it definitely looks as if we are able to break through this in the near future. That could easily lead to a breakout, or if we keep having to go down a little bit more for the time being and then end up breaking out, that is another option as well. So the 161% line here or whatnot could be another option if we were to head down this far below the initial start of the run and then obviously bounce off. And that would make pretty good sense. Right around 62.55, we would have this sort of fall. We'd hit here, and then obviously we could break out in the future. So that is that, guys. Definitely let me know down below in the comments how you all feel about this. Where do you guys see SHIB in a week from now? Again, I really do think that this is not particularly worth worrying about as much because it really doesn't, at least to me, feel all that bearish. It really does seem as if this indicator, obviously the triple bottom indicator, could be helpful here. And of course, the community support is just so strong. I don't think the community would let this fall again. And I know there are a lot of people who talk about this on Twitter and in my live streams and whatnot, but the community support is so strong for this that I really do think we'll sustain ourselves somewhere within at least the 50s, preferably in the 60s, and I could see that happening even if that lasts a little bit while, for a little bit of a while. If we don't get an amazing breakout, but if we just consolidate somewhere in the high 60s or mid 60s, that would always be fine if we had that going on for, a couple of weeks or whatnot. This would not be particularly tragic, would not be great, but definitely possible. It really will depend on how this low 60s, 60, 61, 62 acts as a bounce off point for a support. So that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe for daily SHIB vids. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.